Welcome to day 4 of the Fun with Time challenge. So we talked yesterday about how you cannot do everything. And I know technically we talked about it today because I'm doing these in sequential order all in one day. But if you're in the Signature Self Bookend program, you will actually get this all like in one day after the other. So just so you know. I'm going to take a quick second to make sure that we are on Facebook. There we go. Excellent. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that down. Okay, awesome. This way I can see your guys' comments as they come up. All right, so today we're going to be talking about time blocking. Finally, I've been showing you guys this. I'm sure as you've seen my color coding, you're like, oh, what is that? And some of you already know about time blocking. I'm going to talk about how this works for me and how I do this. So we talked about the kind of planner to get. For me, that is one that shows me my entire week all at once. And I like the vertical hour layout. So I have some categories that I pick. So I sit down probably once a month and I actually take and I do my entire month's worth of just coloring in. I like to get my colors in there. And what this is it's pre-selected blocks of time. Now for me, I am at least a week to 2 weeks out on any planning week. So, you know, if someone wants to schedule something with me, I mean, it can be difficult. I usually can't schedule that week. It's pretty much impossible. The next week, I probably have a couple of openings, but I can guarantee usually by the third week I have something. So time blocking is really, really important for me. I have certain times like coffee with my best friend, which I was sick last week, so I missed, and then trying to reschedule that. Oh yeah, I love her. I hate that it was difficult because I really am usually the week of just booked. But regularly I have that time blocked out so that I don't block over it with something else. Same with my personal time. My Saturdays are really important. You know, Sunday's kind of a work day for me. I know a lot of people say, oh, we set Sundays aside, but for me, that's a church day. I'm usually working with the kiddos and I'm tired afterwards. And so it really is more of a work day, which, so we went ahead and put like our grocery shopping and stuff on that day as well. And then Saturday, I just don't plan anything that's not personal. So, so that's the kind of stuff that I have on here. And I've taken the time to make what I call my ideal week well in advance. So that's what I'm going to show you guys. Oh, here's my mug for the day. Yay. My husband has a matching cup that says the Mister, of course. So what I want you to think about, we've, you know, taken day 1 and we've put what you want in your life. Now, obviously there is a tension between what we want and what we have to do. So the thing I want you to put on there first is those things that you have to do. They're non-negotiable either because it's work and you have to work in order to provide the things that you want for your family. Great. Put that in there. Also, maybe it's a commitment that you've made. You know, for me, that is church. Every Sunday, I am the children's director and I am there. So, you know, yes, I could choose not to put that on my calendar, but why wouldn't I? It doesn't make any sense. For now, until I'm done being the children's director, that is a commitment that I have made. And so I'm going to put it on my calendar. So that's what I want you guys to put in there first. And so for me, my yellow is my work. My orange that's kind of yellow orange because I always do yellow and forget. And then I'm like, oh, I got to put orange on here. That is my ministry / volunteer stuff. You'll see that over here too. My purple is personal time. That is for me, 100%. That can be whether it's reflection time, it's my yoga in the morning, Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's, you know, my morning routine stuff. Like I don't book stuff during that time. It is like rare. It happens, but it is rare that I will book anything during that purple time if it's not like family, self-care, just, you know, personal stuff. And that can adjust, but if I have that set up and that's what I'm going to do, that's what I do. The pink for me is creativity time. I make sure to have time for, it's fun stuff, creativity, fun, recreation, social, creativity. That's my pink. And then I kind of just leave the bottom empty because we do different things on different evenings. Sometimes that's going to be a meeting evening. My husband needs to book a meeting for his businesses, or I do. Sometimes it's a social thing. Sometimes it's sports, you know, whatever it is. I just kind of leave it open. And then I put stuff in. So this is just the color blocking. This is, and the time blocking. This is not actually putting in what's going to happen during that time. That is something that we'll actually talk about on day 5. But here's what I want you to think about. Here's what I want you to know. Your time, your 168 hours in your week are a budget. You don't get more. None of us has figured out how to make more time in our week, unfortunately. So being able to tell your time what you're going to do with it versus it telling you what you're going to do with it is really important. So, and depending on the life stage that you're in, that will also kind of help you determine what you need to do. So, you know, kids of sports, you want to prioritize those things. You want to be able to be at their games. You know, you've got to be, someone's got to be available to pick them up from practices or take them. You know, if you have little kids, that important time, the things that you have to do, like, are going to be getting your kids out and doing stuff. If you're a stay-at-home mom, oh my gosh, like we were never home. I was a stay-at-home mom, stay at home, but we were never home. And that's partially because I learned a non-negotiable was I had to get my kids out. If I did not get my son out, my daughter too, but really my son, he had so much energy and he needed to get that out so badly that inevitably, if I didn't get him out at least once a day, and that could just be walking around the corner, going to the little park and letting him play, he was going to get in trouble. It just happened every single time I didn't get him out. So that for me was a non-negotiable. It was easier to deal with him. It helped him run out his energy. And he didn't get in as much trouble when I understood that this was a kid with a lot of energy. And my daughter, it really worked well for her too, but he was the one that just had like so much energy. It was nuts. It was a completely different energy than my little girl. So I just learned that as a stay-at-home mom. As a mom with kids who were going to school, you know, some of those non-negotiables was making sure that we had dinner every night together. We weren't perfect at that. And honestly, we didn't have a dining room table a lot of times. So sometimes that was sitting around watching TV together while we ate dinner, but we were together. And that was really important. And we did our best to, you know, have game nights from time to time. I've never been perfect at this, guys. And if you think that you're going to wait until you're perfect at it, it's not going to happen. So like even right now, as my kids are older and they're teenagers, one of the things that we've learned is like, okay, we could probably get one game night a month because they work, we're busy. They both, you know, have school and all kinds of stuff, social things. It's almost impossible to do more than once a month. But if we're not intentional about that once a month, it'll be never. It just won't even happen. So, and obviously we want to try for more than that. But if we can just get one, at least we got the one. In fact, tonight's our game night. So it's just so important to make sure that you are intentional about what you have to do. And sometimes that's not just work. Sometimes that is what you have to do to make sure that your life functions. Right now, we have to do things like make sure that my dog gets out twice a day. The poor thing is getting older. He needs shorter walks twice a day. And we need to make sure that, you know, I unload the dishwasher every single morning so that everybody's putting their dishes in, and everybody has to cook a meal a night. And, you know, so there's certain things that you just have to do. And that's what we've had to do. Now you want to look at what you should do. And you want to be making sure that you make time for those things. You know, this can be those things that are not urgent, but are important. I should go to yoga. And, you know, this week I didn't go. Actually, in fact, I didn't go last Thursday because I was really sick. And I didn't go this Tuesday because I was getting such a beautiful sleep finally after a week of not sleeping, and I didn't go. But I can tell you, I feel it. I'm glad I got that extra sleep. I don't regret it one bit. But I can feel it 100%. So tomorrow I'm getting back into my yoga. I should do that. I should do certain things. So what are some of those things that, you know, like I should go on date nights with my husband? That really is really more of a non-negotiable. So that actually fits into what I have to do. But it can also be a should. It can be one of those. That needs to be one of the top two, guys. Like whichever one you can make it. I really think it should be a must. And so just what things should you do? You know, meal planning is another one. We should meal plan. When we don't, we're either eating out or we're just going and grabbing junk food. So we should meal plan, right? So, but I have to put time in my week for that, because if I just put like a to-do list and I'm like, oh, I got to do all these things, and I don't actually put it in my calendar, I don't book out a time for that, it won't get done. And then we're eating out, and then we're regretting it, and we're just like, oh my gosh, why didn't we do that? Then finally, what do you want on your calendar? And guys, I know it seems like these three are probably a lot of things that you're putting on your calendar. They're not that many things. And what this helps you do is like what we talked about in the last video, when people come and say, hey, can you do this? Or hey, can you do that? Hey, will you join this team? Or hey, will you volunteer for that? You can be like, you know what? I really don't actually have the time for that. Maybe it falls into what would you would want to do, like what I talked about. Like I love doing all kinds of things, but when I can sit and look at my calendar and I can easily just see like what it looks like, I can so quickly just say, you know what, I'm sorry, I really just don't have the time for that right now. Because I've got the I must do this in there, like work. I've got the should do in there, like I need to meal plan. I need to make sure I have time with my kids, my husband. And then I've got the things that I want to do in there. For example, for me, that is making sure I have my reflection time every single morning. Now, again, that is definitely could be a should. Could be a should, yeah. But I really need to have that on there. And it's not even just a should, it is a want. I know that when I don't get that, my life looks so different on a day-to-day basis. It's just so important for me to put that in there. I want to have my creativity time. I want to do certain things. And so I'm putting that in my calendar. I want to have a morning routine where I wash my face and I feel beautiful. I want to exercise. You know, there's things that I really want to put in my calendar. So remember that this also changes by season. It changes by life stages. Remember, I talked about the different life stages you might be in. We're almost heading into empty nesters life stage, which is super interesting because, you know, before it was super important for us to schedule date nights. We now have lots of impromptu date nights, and it's great. Now we can find it if we're not intentional about that. We'll just sit and watch TV all the time. So it's still important to be intentional, but it's not as rare as it used to be when my kids were little. It is actually a lot less rare. Sometimes we're like, what the heck do we want to do with ourselves? I don't even know. So we're figuring that out. You know, it changes by season because based on sports, like right now is baseball season, and oh my gosh, and soccer season. You guys with baseball and soccer kids are validly very busy. Don't be scheduling other things in there. Please don't, just don't do it. It changes by month, and sometimes it even changes by week. I mean, it really does. So just really look at that time blocking. Think of what you want, what you have to, and what you want it to look like. Then you can start putting other things in, you know. So just, if you want to work further on this, guys, this is something that I'm going to be offering a little further time for those who signed up for my Signature Self book and program. I will be putting links to that in here later. So if you want some help on some of these things, like, you know what, I've got this thing, I'm just not sure what to do with. I want to make time for it, but I'm not really sure how. Let me help you with that. All right, so make sure you sign up for that. This will be coming out in a couple of weeks in that email. We're currently on the forgiveness chapter. So, all right, guys, I hope this brings you a lot of hope. Your time may look crazy now, and that's okay. You can say no to things. You can have get a handle on what your week looks like, and just feel hope. Know that it's going to change. It's going to be different. It could be different next week. It could be different 6 months from now. It could be different 5 years from now. It will be. So I hope this gives you guys hope. All right, I'll see you on the next and last video for this 5-day challenge really soon. Bye.